Hello guys, welcome to my backyard. The birds are a little noisy out here, but I did come out here for a specific reason today. We have been talking about, and last week we discussed, why do we have the beliefs we have? And we talked about our beliefs being made up of tradition, things that are just happen in our family or things that have always been done where we live. We talked about what we believe as being experience, which is our feelings and emotion, and our emotions and feelings can betray us. And we talked about just common sense and reasoning, bringing those traditions and experiences together. And the reason I have us doing that is kind of looking at why you believe what you believe. If you are a Christian, a Christ follower, if you are just wanting to know a little about Christianity or what the Bible is, you believe something. Even if you believe that there is no God, or if you don't believe there's a creator, or if you just do believe there's a creator and just one God controls everything in every person, and Christianity isn't all there is. You still have a reason and for why that has developed in your life and what you believe. So I'm trying to get us to look at what has happened in our life to set our beliefs. And the reason I'm doing that is because I want people to give that grace to other people when they see and meet them and hear their opinions expressed. They have a faith and a belief system that's unique to them, just like yours is unique to you. And there is why. Good reasons, bad reasons, valid reasons, invalid reasons, whatever you want to say, but there's reasons why they believe what they do. And everybody is different and unique. So to help these conversations and help put people in a place where their heart is open to having conversations, getting along with, being in community with people who have different opinions and beliefs than them, looking at this view is important. And so I came outside today because today we're going to talk about really two things that are very important to me and you may or may not have heard of. Now, this first one I have to talk briefly about, and this is the Enneagram. If you know what the Enneagram is, awesome, great. The Enneagram was created in 1989. The first Enneagram book was written then in Germany. And I just stumbled across the Enneagram about 10 years ago and went to like a workshop on it and learned all about it and thought it was the coolest thing ever. And then 2 years ago, my daughter from college came home and she said, "Mom, you have to hear about the newest, coolest thing. Everybody is doing it. Everybody in their spiritual life and walk is doing this." And she said, "It's called the Enneagram." And I said, "Well, your mother kind of knows about the Enneagram before it was even popular." But to be honest, the front, I don't know if you can see this, I can show you a close-up, but it looks like this star pentagram kind of thing on here. And when I first saw that, I thought, oh, maybe this is something satanic or non-Christian or not holy. And that is very far from the truth. This is actually an ancient way of discerning your soul. It's helpful in any kind of circumstance when you're relating to other people. You can do this in secular locations, work locations is the most profitable and helps the most because it teaches you how we're all wired differently. And there's 9 different ways that we're wired, and no one's perfectly one of the 9. And so the Enneagram actually goes into deep details about you're a 9, and then you have tendencies to do these other things. And it really helps you learn how to be a spiritually balanced person. And so it's called the Enneagram. This one is A Christian Perspective by Richard Rohr. So if you've never heard of this, it's wonderful. You can pay to take these Enneagram things online. but you can also find free ones. And you don't have to take any of those online or the little personality quizzes to read the Enneagram. In fact, it's better to read this book and self-describe yourself. So self-diagnose yourself in what your Enneagram type is, because that's what it's about. It's about learning how to have a completely balanced soul and go through this life being the best you. So a while back, for one of my classes actually in spiritual formation, I had to read a book called Sacred Pathways, and it was by Gary Thomas. This is a phenomenal resource if you're looking to just explore your spirituality and your faith. It's a great place to start. He has taken and created 9 sacred pathways that in a lot of ways correlate to the 9 personality types in the Enneagram. And he's divided and looked at our spiritual walk and connection to God in terms of these 9 pathways. And so I'm going to read through the 9 pathways, and I want you to do that with open ears and see what might sound like you, how you relate to God, how you feel completely at peace, how you feel spiritually full, all of those kind of feelings. When do those feelings occur for you? When do you feel true spiritual connectedness and really true peace? That peace that passes understanding that we all wish we could bottle. So these are the 9 types. And the first type is the naturalist, and that is why I am outside. I am primarily a naturalist when it comes to sacred pathways. I relate to God by being in creation, being outdoors, hearing the birds. I think it's why my life has changed since moving to Tennessee, because I get to be outside a lot more, and there's sun here and all kinds of, things to do outside, and there's mountains and creation. In Michigan, the place that I would go all the time was Lake Michigan, and I would sit by the waters and listen to the waves. I actually have recording on my phone of the waves coming in on Lake Michigan from right around Holland, and I play that sometimes as a reminder, and I use that sometimes in my meditation times and that sort of thing. But that's how I'm wired. But not everybody is wired like that. Not everybody is an outdoor creation-loving person, and that can still be part of you, but you can also have other ways you connect with God. The second major category of connecting with God is called the sensate. Now, the sensate is just how it sounds. It's your senses. You connect through seeing, hearing, taste, touch, smell. Incense is going to make a lot to you. Architecture in buildings and cathedrals and churches is going to be drawing you closer to God. Just the senses and sensory experience of worship time might make you feel closer to God. So those are what a sensate draws from, just like it sounds, your senses. A traditionalist. Now, a traditionalist connects very easily through ritual and tradition, hence traditionalist. So people that connect to God in this way they do well in denominations that are very ritualistic, and you kind of go through these motions. And a lot of people will look at that and say, they're just going through motions. They're not doing nothing. Oh, no. They're not going through motions. They are rituals, and they are putting themselves in the presence of God, because that's how they connect to God, is through that ritual. And so that's part of why I want to do this too, because people, we be judgy. We connect to God in a certain way, and we think other people connect like us, or one way is a wrong way. We're all different. The next is the ascetic. And the ascetic is your person who needs a lot of solitude. Most likely they're introverts, but they just connect God when it's completely quiet and completely alone. So that's your ascetic. Your activist. Now, your activist is really just as it sounds too. The activist is most connected to God when they are fighting for God, when they are an activist. And a lot of times this comes out, and you can think of the pictures of the abortion people yelling on the curbs, or the man downtown on Nashville, he's yelling that everybody in the honky tonks is going to hell. He's still down there. He came back after COVID. But those kind of people, and we look at that, and some of us think, well, that's ridiculous. But it's not an effective way to win people to Christ. But you can understand what motivates them. If they feel extremely connected to God when they are doing a service, a project, a task, going to battle for Him, and that's how they connect, you can kind of give you some insight into why they behave that way, and it can help you understand differences in other people. All right, where was I? The caregiver. I'm also a big caregiver. There's all different kinds of personality tests. Christians, Christian leadership, we all use all of these tools because we're talking about spiritual things and personality things. And so we tend to use all of these in our studies and our internal reflections to help us grow and to help see these differences in other people. But why not everybody do that? So a caregiver is like it sounds. This is a person who is going to feel connected to God when they are taking care of someone that's sick, if they're discipling someone who's lost their way, all of those kind of things. The caregiver pathway is a way that people connect deeply to that place with God. The contemplative. Now the contemplative, it's a little bit harder for me to explain, but the contemplative is just like in awe. They love God, they adore God, and they just are overflowing with that. And that's how it comes out in them. They're contemplative. They're constantly contemplating the goodness, the wonder, the awe of God. So that's kind of the best example I can give you for that. Then we have the intellectual. And that, again, is kind of how it sounds. It's not meaning that the intellectual pathway, you have to be smart or smart. What it does mean is that the intellectuals, when they discover something, when they read something in the Bible and they figure it out for the first time and have those aha moments, those are the moments that make them feel closest to God and connected to God on every level. So we have those 9 different pathways, and they all help us understand ourselves, why we behave how we behave, why we believe what we believe, how we connect to God in the ways that we do. And if we start by examining ourselves and our personality, our spiritual traits, our spiritual sacred pathways that lead us to that place of the presence of God and the peace that passes understanding, the more that we read about and know about that, we can understand it in broader context in groups of people. And it can help us to relate to others and break down all of these divisive barriers that we do have. Okay, so for this week, the Bible reading is going to be Genesis 47 through Exodus 18. So we're continuing on and we're finishing up Genesis and going into Exodus. So much has been happening in Genesis, and let me tell you, Exodus does not slow down. It's one thing after another. It's the most exciting read, really. If you've never read this and you still haven't read this, it's almost exhausting when you get through those chapters of the Bible. And this week, the points to ponder that are in the discussion guides for the Bible, they're all about purpose and your purpose, finding your purpose, helping others achieve their purpose. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to answer questions and talk about some of the readings from Genesis 46 through Exodus 16. That's a huge chunk of scripture, and so much happens, but it's exciting. And when you're reading that, the thing that I'm having to discipline myself is to not jump on little details that I don't understand or that I'm super curious about and like kind of go down a rabbit hole, because I'll never finish. If I'll never finish, and I want to finish the Bible reading before I meet with you all, so I can have decent conversations with you. So do that. Another trick that I do is I do listen. I have headphones. You can get audio Bible through Bible Gateway app for free, and I put that on my headphones, go for an hour walk and listen, walk the dog. That's always helpful. Fitting the Bible reading in by listening. If you have a commute, your car, my husband always listens to his Bible in the car. He listens to the version that has the voice that sounds like Charleston Heston, and so he comes home and he talks like he's Charleston Heston when he comes home. But anyway, that's a little trick that I use to help you. And also I'm getting older, and just sometimes the reading of the small print, especially if you're reading on your phone or you're reading in a small Bible, is hard. So that's always a really good way to get your Bible reading in, get your connecting time in with God. And so I hope you guys have a great week. Think about your sacred pathways and how you do connect. And I will see you at your groups.